Welcome to A Learner's Journey. My name is Molly Sanders, and the goal of this podcast is to inspire and motivate you by connecting you with a variety of passionate horsewomen and men who have dedicated their lives to helping horses and their people. I'm grateful you're here. In November of this year, 2023, it will have been 3 years since the day I sent in my resignation letter as a Parelli instructor, and then that same day went for a ride on my horse Suede that turned into a huge wreck that changed the trajectory of my life. But also during that time, I had a vision of what I wanted to do. I had a really strong purpose for why I was around, what I was meant to be doing. And 4 months after that event, I hosted Shine a Light Productions' first virtual event with the wonderful David Lichman. And it launched a whole new adventure. 9 virtual clinics later, a handful of courses, a couple of workshops, 36 podcast interviews, and 82 blog posts bring me to this moment today where I sit before you, so incredibly grateful that I got to put this vision into practice, and grateful that you've been a part of it. When A Learner's Journey podcast first started, I had an opening to the podcast, which I since changed to the one that you heard just a minute ago. But in that first opening, I mentioned the twists and turns of life, which we all know happen. And I find it kind of funny that I still will expect that the road ahead is going to be straight, like that whatever I'm doing, I'm going to just be doing it for the rest of my life. And it's kind of a cool thing because every chapter, when I look back through my life, my chapter of being an elementary school teacher, which is where I started my professional career, that chapter, that's what I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life. My chapter as a Parelli instructor, I never had any intention of not continuing with that. And now the chapter I find myself in today with the Shine a Light Productions, I had that feeling of the road's just going to be straight. I'm going to keep doing this. And it's really neat. I'm glad that I feel that way because all of those chapters are things that I wanted to be doing passionately. And I'm so grateful that I got to do all of them. So I find myself now in another twist, which I'm happy to say that with all the twists and turns in my life, as I know you listening to me now, watching, you've had your own, I'm happy that I've gotten better at being okay with the twists. Well, I should say being okay after I have many sleepless nights and not being okay with it. But I have definitely improved with being able to, look out the window and enjoy the view and look for the lessons ahead, as opposed to grabbing a hold of the steering wheel and trying to head back to where I was and not be heading down the road that I find myself on. So I'm glad that improvements have happened. So what the heck am I talking about? What is this twist? So one minor twist, or not a minor twist, a huge twist happened last year. Some of you know about this happening. I had a family member, my aunt, who was basically facing cancer at the end of her life, wanted to stay home. I stepped into a role I'm grateful that I was able to do, and I was there with her in the last months of her life. I didn't realize how challenging that would be. I knew it was going to be hard, and at that time, it started in July of last year, but it was in November and December that it became basically a full-time thing. And at that time, I was also facing, I should say, I was going to say burnout, and it was. With Shine a Light Productions, one of the things that I had to really watch out for is I wanted to do everything. I wanted to do all of these different events, and I had the podcast and the blog and all of it. I wanted so much. I was so fired up about what I was doing, but I had to really watch out for complete exhaustion. And my husband Brett would help me put a calendar together, and we would put, okay, I'm going to do this event, and then I'm going to take 2 weeks off, and then I'm going to do another event, and a very reasonable schedule. And I was never able to do it. I would, those 2 weeks off were never off. I always was filling them with things. I don't regret that. It was such a wonderful time, but at that time that my aunt started to get sick, I was also really heading into that with her with not a whole lot of gas in my tank. And that's why for those of you that were around during that time, I had to put a pause on things and just give everything I had to her. And I had some amazing things happen where, I didn't think I was going to be able to go on another moment. And I remember laying on the bed one night, and it became very physically challenging as well. Moving her body from place to place, basically picking her up and helping her move from the chair to the wheelchair, or to the bed, and then in the last few weeks, basically moving her completely with just me. It was really hard physically. And I remember one night I was laying there and I just thought, I don't think I can do this anymore. And I just allowed myself to be okay with that if that's what it came to. But I remember just asking that whatever, that I'd be able to keep going. And I laid there and I couldn't go to sleep, and I just allowed myself to completely relax. And something happened that filled me. It was kind of an amazing experience that filled me with energy, and I was able to carry on. Why am I telling you all this? I'm not sure. When I sat down to record this, I decided that I was just going to let her rip, and whatever came out. I've got my tea here, and I figured, whatever beverage you're having, we can just sit and have well, I guess not a conversation, but I'll have a conversation with you or to you. So, anyway, I guess, in looking back on that time, I was at a time where I didn't have a whole lot of energy. I gave it all I had and then some. From somewhere, whatever your beliefs are, it came, and I was able to make it through. Then when she passed away on January 6th of this year, I really thought, well, I give myself 2 weeks, maybe a month, completely. I was lucky enough to not have to go right back to work. Thought I'd be right back at it, and I wasn't. And so much time passed, and I just kept thinking, I got to get my mojo back, but I was really tired. I didn't have motivation. I would sit down to do the things in Shine a Light that used to light me up, and it didn't light me up anymore. I was really perplexed about why that was, because nothing else had changed. So I just plowed forward and started to work again, and which has been wonderful. I've got one project going right now that I'll share a little bit with you in a minute, but it just felt like I was dragging a weight behind me. Like I knew that I wanted to be doing it, but something had changed. And I really wanted to understand what and why. And I remember a conversation that I had with Charlie Snell, who is the person that I'm working on the project with. He's become a dear friend of mine, and I was talking to him a few months ago via Zoom. It was the first time he and I had reconnected. He also tragically lost his son this year. I'm going to get a little emotional. So he's had a really tough series of twists and turns as well. And I was sharing with him some of the things that were happening for me. And I remember he said, you're trying to go back to where you were, and you'll never be that person again. You'll never be able to go back to that, and instead look forward. And it was a powerful moment, because I realized he was completely right, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to grab that steering wheel and steer it back to where I was before what happened with my aunt happened. So it was a really pivotal moment, but at the same time it didn't explain things the way I wanted to explain everything, but it was a big moment. So fast forward to now, a few weeks ago, my husband Brett, who has been a big reason why all of this could happen. He has been the rock of our family financially. He's been working in the corporate world since he left Pirelli quite a few years before I did. And anyway, for those of you, if you're in the corporate world, you know that layoffs are a part of daily life. It seems like every time, every week or every month, frequently he's mentioning that, there's another round of layoffs coming, which baffles me. But anyway, he had a meeting with one of his managers, and they mentioned that layoffs are coming, and it was really a cryptic meeting. He might need to prepare, might need to be looking for other jobs. And it was terrifying for me. He was great. He dealt with it really well. But I woke up in the middle of the night thinking, I don't have the fire under me yet. How am I gonna float this boat if he gets laid off? All the crazy fears that happen. I don't know if you can identify with that, but my mind spiraled into, we're going to lose the house, I'm going to lose the horses, all that kind of stuff. And then I had a moment of clarity where I, just started thinking like, what can I do? How can I best support us? And I had this answer come of that I need to move forward, move on from Shine a Light. I need to get a regular job, if you can say that, but I think you know what I mean. And more, working for somebody else where it's more consistent, more dependable, and take some of the heat off of Brett. So, a whole bunch of things followed, but it was a huge weight lifted off of me, though. It was one of those moments where I was like, this is it. This is what I need to do. So, and when I had the question that came up was, well, what the heck are you who's going to hire you? What are you going to do? You've been working with horses for the past, couple decades. And after I got through that little fearful thought process, I realized that, since I left college, my degree is in curriculum and instruction. My master's degree is in curriculum and instruction. I've spent 12 years at the elementary school level developing curriculum. When I was a Pirelli instructor, I was developing curriculum based on a program. It's not that I was putting the program together, but I was developing workshops. I was developing ways to share the program. And now with Shine a Light, that's what I've been doing. And so that's where I think I'll be heading. So this message, I wanted to share a little bit about why the new announcement that's coming, it's going to be coming out of my mouth any moment, but why it's happening. And just because you've been such a part of, the podcast, or, you might be one of the people that was in the very first virtual clinic with Linda, back before I left as an instructor. And I just have so much gratitude, and that's where I want to stay and return when I get fearful, is to come back to that feeling of gratitude that I got to do this. I got to put out this amazing vision, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I got to do that. And I'm so grateful that you have been a part of it. One other thing, back when I was first putting the idea of Shine a Light Productions together, Brett and I used to sit in the living room and we'd have whiteboards all over. I'm a big fan of whiteboards. You might know that about me. And I had lists of names for the business. I had lists of ideas, and then I had 2 lists of names of people that I would want to do virtual events with. And one of the lists was people that were well known, already had kind of their own thing going. And then the other list was people that were unknown, but that were amazing horsemen and women in their own right. And that's where the Shine a Light name came out. I was like, I want to do something to share these people with you, and also be kind of a steward of sorts. That's not the greatest word, but to catalog what they've done, like to put videos of their knowledge so it won't be lost. And Charlie Snell was the first name on the list. He was the person that I kept his name, his face kept coming up in when I would be thinking about this. And it was a crazy turn of events that he ended up joining me and doing a virtual event, and it ended up doing really well. Like, people, it was amazing to him and kind of to me too, how well people did with it. And so he was kind of the beginning. He was one of the reasons I started Shine a Light. And then David Lichman called me. We had a wonderful conversation. He ended up being the very first event. But Charlie was kind of the reason why I wanted to do it, or people like Charlie. And so it's kind of fitting that he is also going to be the final event for Shine a Light Productions, at least for the foreseeable future. So the decision that I've made is to close up the chapter, finish that part of the book of Shine a Light Productions, and A Learner's Journey, the podcast. This will be the final podcast for the foreseeable future. It doesn't mean that I won't do more, because a friend of mine, I was walking with a friend of mine the other day, and she's like, it's called A Learner's Journey. You're still on the journey. And encouraging me to continue doing it. So who knows? But once I'm done with Charlie's event, I'll be closing things up, and I'll be on the search for what's going to be next for my employment. So I think that's all I wanted to share. I do want to let you know, you might have questions about, the courses or the Facebook group. All of it will come to a close. The courses won't change until the end of 2023. And then if you're in one that has continuous access, I'll be taking care of you. So just be on the lookout for an email that'll come your way that'll let you know about the changes to expect to be able to access the information. So yeah, who knew? Here we go, or here I go again. And so again, I am so grateful. Thank you so much for being a part of this. It's been such an amazingly wonderful ride for me, and it continues. This event with Charlie that I'm putting the finishing touches on in the days ahead. We'll be starting up on September 23rd. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. And then I'll be wrapping things up. So enough said. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And, be looking for, I'll put a message in the Facebook group of what to expect there. And the newsletter will come to a close. And I just, the best books are made of small chapters. So, or many chapters, I guess. So, thank you for being a part of this one. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.